Here we'll do an example of a directly proportional word problem. The problem says, if we can paint 500 square feet with a 1.5 gallon paint bucket, how much paint would you need if you wanted to paint 2,250 square feet? We're going to say that these two quantities, the square feet and the gallons, are directly proportional. This is because the more gallons we have, the more area we can paint. As one goes up, the other goes up too. Because they're directly proportional, we can write ratios for them. We're told that if we want to paint 500 square feet, we'll need 1.5 gallons. I'm using SQFT to represent square feet here, and then I'm going to draw a colon, and then write 1.5 gallons. But then we see the words, how much paint. This means we have something that's unknown in our other ratio. We are also told that we want to paint 2,250 square feet. This means when we write our other ratio, we know the square feet. So we'll write that first because we wrote square feet first in the first ratio. Then we'll put a colon, and then we'll put an unknown number of gallons. When we buy paint, we usually measure it in gallons, so when we see the words how much paint, we're really being asked how many gallons. Since we don't know that, we represent that with the letter X. Notice there is a pitfall in this question in that one of our numbers is a mixed number. When you see a mixed number in a proportion question like this, it's best to change that to a decimal. To change that to a decimal, we're going to remember that mixed numbers have an invisible plus sign in the middle. So instead of saying 1.5, we'll say 1 plus 1/2. We'll make sure to write that invisible plus out normally. We have a whole number, which is 1, and a pure decimal, which is 1/2. Let's change that 1/2 to a pure decimal using the calculator. We'll say 1 divide 2, press enter, and we'll get 0.5. Therefore, this 1 plus 1/2 changes to 1 plus 0.5. And if we have a whole number plus a pure decimal, we just put the two together, and we get 1.5. This will be our gallons in the first ratio. For that reason, we'll cross out the 1.5 and we'll instead say 1.5. Now that we've got the number written in decimal form, we still have two ratios, so we can use a crossed product. Our first ratio is 500 square feet to 1.5 gallons. So we write 500 divided by 1.5. We'll say equals, and then for our other fraction, we'll have 2250 over x. 2250 square feet over the unknown number of gallons. Then we multiply the 500 times the x for our first answer. 500 times x can be written as 500x. Then we place an equal sign and we multiply 2250 times 1.5. Let's go to the calculator and find what that is. We enter 2250 and we multiply by 1.5. This gives us 3,375. Now to get x, we will divide both sides by 500. The 500 that's on the left will cancel out because we have 500 over 500. So x will equal 3,375 over 500. Let's go to the calculator again and enter that. The 3,375 is already stored in the calculator, so we divide by 500. When we press enter, we get 6.75. So our x is 6.75, and since our x was gallons, we must specify that this is gallons. So anytime we have directly proportional amounts, we may use ratios. We'll stick to our usual plan of doing proportions and cross products.